Hey, welcome back. Here in episode 3, Carl Nash is going to explain some of the different personal projects he's been working on. Alright, well let's get on to some of your other projects that deal with curation and let me know, like, how did HumanBot start?
Sure, so HumanBot's something that I've had in the back of my brain pretty much the whole time I was on platform, but I wanted to wait until I had a little bit of a bigger voice and a little bit of a bigger reach before I really launched it. And I felt that when I attained the status of Curie Top Curator that I had this bigger voice, because since Curie Top Curators are the only way that you can be recommended into the Curie program, as you can imagine, as soon as your name gets published on this list as the top curator for the previous week, everybody comes out of the woodwork to want to be your friend and say, hey buddy, you want to recommend me, right? So I felt like I had a bigger platform and a bigger voice to speak, and I'm doing several things with HumanBot, and basically HumanBot is a bot in name only. It's a human-powered endeavor, and that was part of the point, is that I felt that a lot of things that were being done by bots would actually be better done by humans. Original Works is an amazing bot. I totally love Original Works, but Original Works algorithm can only go so far. It can tell whether or not something's been copy pasted, plagiarized, but it can't tell you, is this truly original? Is this actually a creative?
Sometimes things slip through the cracks.
Well, yeah, I mean, even leaving aside the question of whether or not it can accurately tell whether or not something's plagiarized or not. Just because something isn't plagiarized doesn't necessarily mean it's actually original in the true sense of the word original. In the creative sense of the word original. So one of the things I'm doing with HumanBot is the HumanBot Human Certified Original Works movement, of which you are a member.
Yes.
And I had this idea that I was already spending a fair amount of time, when I'm looking at posts to determine whether or not they were plagiarized or not. If I got a whiff of something fishy, I was already spending the time to kind of dig into it. And I was like, why? I would love to be able to plop down a badge like the Original Works bot does, but have it be backed by a real human and a human mind and an account that somebody could go look at and see who is this guy anyways and what kind of stuff does he like. So I made myself a badge with my eyeball alien icon sticking out of the middle of it, and I started dropping it off in posts when I was both sure that it was not plagiarized, but also sure that it was actually creative original content. Something, it's more or less the Carl Nash seal of approval. But when I started doing this, it really resonated with a lot of people.
So you got some feedback.
Yeah, got positive feedback. I don't even honestly remember who the second person was that wanted to do it, but other people started asking me, like, hey, can I give out, a badge of originality? And so I just started making these badges for people. And it's been a lot of fun. I don't have a current count of the number of people, but I know it's definitely over 10 at this point that have signed up. If somebody expresses interest in wanting to award one of these badges, currently the process is I just kind of look over their upvote record, kind of posts that they're upvoting. I look at their blog. If I get any kind of hint that they're a scammer or that they're just kind of upvoting stuff in a circle jerk fashion where all they're doing is upvoting their own friends or whatever, I'm not going to say, I won't be rude to them, but I'll respectfully say, no, I'm sorry. So that's eventually what I want to do, and what I'm actually hoping to set up within the next week is, whenever I personally award a badge of originality, I also upvote that post through the HumanBot account, and I've set up a vote trail for this, so that if you wanted to follow that vote trail, your vote would come along behind everything that I've awarded my badge to. But what I want to do is set up a vote bot so that anybody who holds one of these badges can call the HumanBot vote behind when they leave the badge. So when you leave your own badge of originality, as you're leaving your comment, in that comment you can just, whatever the command is to call a HumanBot vote, it doesn't really matter what it is, it just has to be a relatively unique phrase. You'll just type that command in there, and HumanBot will check to see if you're on a whitelist of all the badge holders, and if you are, it will come along and upvote that. So once that's set up, the HumanBot vote trail will be a vote trail for all the badge holders. So somebody who wants to support not plagiarized, but actually original creative content can follow the HumanBot vote trail and rest assured that they're not just upvoting something that an algorithm determined to be not plagiarized, they're upvoting something that a human being has considered and said, this is actually creative.
Right.
So I think there's a lot of value in that. I think it seems to resonate with people. I've had people, more and more people coming up to me asking me about it.
Well, and also badge holders would also gain some curation rewards through that as
Yes.
well, right?
100%. If you put your own upvote first and then you call HumanBot
Right.
and this vote trail comes, it will definitely increase your curation reward 100%.
Because, I mean, curation rewards, all in all, aren't usually huge.
Right.
You know, it's not like getting $100 post payout or whatever.
I will say, though, that it's exaggerated in my case because I'm often putting an upvote in before Curie comes along behind and upvotes something $100, but I've seen like an 8-cent upvote that I've put down has earned me more than 50 cents curation rewards. I mean, I've seen the curation reward be like 4 or 5 times the value of the vote that you yourself put down.
Yeah.
So that's not every case are you going to put down, and that was basically when there was no payout on the post at all. I was the first significant upvote at all, and I put in like an 8-cent upvote, and then Curie came along behind and upvoted the post over $100, and I got like a 50-cent payout. So So curation can be it can be a significant chunk, or at least in relation to your steam power. If I'd have had a $10 upvote to put down, that curation reward would have been even that much higher.
Right.
So the more people that follow the HumanBot vote trail, the more potential curation reward that a HumanBot badge holder could get. So you're right there.
So associated with HumanBot, there's also the what is it?
There's
RBot.
Right. Before we leave HumanBot, there's a couple other things that
yeah.
HumanBot does. So I have what's called the HumanBot Curator Incubator, and
yes.
you are yourself a user of this service.
Yes.
And I believe, no, I could just strike that. I don't believe. I know that I am the only top Curie curator who has a public channel that people who want to become a curator can go and prove to me that they're a good curator.
Yeah.
The way it works for most people is they're a top curator and they just kind of work individually with people who are interested in becoming a curator. There is no public channel for somebody to say, like, I want to become a curator, here I am,
I see.
And in fact, it's pretty hard for a lot of people. If you don't already know one of these top curators, none of the top curators really love getting direct messaged out of the blue by somebody that they don't know saying, hey, recommend me to be a top curator, recommend me to be a curator. It's like, I don't know you, buddy, you know? And there's also actually a penalty if you have a bad recommendation. If you recommend somebody and they submit posts that are consistently getting rejected, you get a penalty point. And if you get 2 of these penalty points, you can't recommend new curators anymore. So
you're off the list.
There's very much an incentive to only recommend actually good curators.
Right.
So I was looking at this, and I was looking at all these incoming messages I was getting from people that I didn't know, asking that, hey, can you recommend me? And I decided to make a public channel through the HumanBot account, and I just made a post called the Curator Incubator, and I've invited people to drop curated links there. It's not a place for self-promotion. If somebody dropped a link to their own post there, I would basically just ignore it. But if somebody's showing up to the Curator Incubator and says in their comment, I would like to be a Curie curator, and here's an example of something I've curated, and they drop a link there, I'll take a look at the post. For one thing, if it's a good post, I'll upvote it through the RBot account that we'll talk about now. If it's a really good original post, I'll give it my badge of originality. So it is a way to kind of increase exposure for other posts.
Right.
And there are some people that use the Curator Incubator just for that. They don't actually have any interest in becoming a Curie curator, but it's just an easy way for them to gain exposure to a good post that they found. They just drop it off there. And I also invite people that are interested in becoming curators to read through the other submissions there. Upvote them if they like them, say what they like about them, and I've asked people to be basically positive only. If you don't like somebody else's submission, don't bash it. I'm not looking for somebody to try to make themselves stand out by ripping down everybody else, and in fact that will very quickly lead me to not consider you if you do that. But what I've tried to do with this is basically, if you read the comments in the 2 different Curator Incubator posts so far, and each one of them is a huge comment thread, there's literally hundreds of comments at this point between the 2 posts. It's sort of like a masterclass in curation because I give open and honest feedback about what I see that's good about the post, what I see that's not good, why I would submit this to Curie or why I wouldn't.
Right.
What clued me in that it was plagiarized, and there have certainly been several plagiarized posts that were submitted to the Curator Incubator. And I think that somebody who is interested in becoming a curator could learn an awful lot just by going to that post, looking at the submissions, looking at the comments, that I've given in return.
I have definitely learned a ton by going through all those comments and and seeing your feedback. And one thing I particularly enjoy is that you spend a serious amount of time giving feedback. I mean, I know you're a very positive person, and it just shows.
It is an incredible time sink. I mean, it's basically something that I'm doing to give back, because I certainly didn't have to do this.
Right.
And it's not the most efficient way to do this. But that being said, I feel like it's really good for there to be some kind of public and open channel, so that it's not just this insiders club. If you know a top curator, that's the only way you're going to get in.
Right.
Curie is kind of about being open, and so I thought it was really good to have a public channel for this. And the nice thing is that, people who are established Curie creators are starting to refer other people there. Like somebody's interested in becoming a curator and they don't know them, they're like, go check out the Human Bot Curator Incubator.
It's sort of like a trial period.
Exactly.
See what you got.
Yep. But again, before we leave Human Bot aside, though, there's one upcoming Human Bot initiative.
Oh, exciting.
And I briefly mentioned this on an MSP radio show when I was interviewed by Bucky Dirtle. And you know about this because you may actually be featured in one of the first posts of this.
Really?
Yes. So you may remember, I have an upcoming series of posts that's going to be called the Human Bot Steemit Wayback Machine. And this was the idea that I had from when I first started coming on the platform. Everything else we've been talking about, the badge of originality and the Curator Incubator, these are things that kind of arose after I had made the Human Bot account and after I had gotten involved in Curie. The idea that I had from the beginning was, and which I haven't actually started, but which will start soon, I promise, is the Human Bot Steemit Wayback Machine. And right from my first time on the platform, I realized that once a post gets past that 7-day payout window, the earnings of that post are frozen. Right. A post cannot earn any more money after 7 days. So if like the best post that has ever been written on Steemit went undiscovered for 7 days, and then on the 9th day, some whale comes along and is like, this is an amazing post, they can't upvote. I mean, they could upvote it, but it doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
There is no way for the author to get rewarded at that point. And I know myself personally, I can look back at many posts that I made when I was first starting out, when I did not have the network yet to be rewarded appropriately for the kind of posting that I was doing. I could look back at many of my own posts that were really wonderful posts and that should have received some reward if it was a true meritocracy, but instead slid by with 0 payout or 5-cent payout.
Right.
And I'm sure everybody who has been on Steemit for any length of time could point to posts that they've written that were like, hey man, this is one of my better posts.
Yeah.
And this got paid out nothing.
The big disappointment.
Right.
Like,
you spend all this time and you put it out there and you're like, oh.
Nothing.
Yeah, it just lands with a thud. So my idea was pretty simple, which is, in a similar fashion to the way some of these curation guilds will kind of put out like a weekly digest of things that they have curated. OCD is another curation guild. They do this. So, posts that are nominated to OCD, they vote on it. If a post is accepted, they make a weekly digest of these posts or feature. I want to do something like that, but for posts that are old posts, past payout posts that did not do well at the time. And so when I encounter some post that's an older post, but it is a great post, I'll leave a comment on the post asking the post author, hey, would you be okay if I featured this in this upcoming post series called the Human Bot Steemit Wayback Machine? 100% of the payout from this post will be divided up among the authors that I feature. So I'll give a little synopsis of the post. I ask permission for the author to use like an image from the post or a video or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'll write a short original synopsis and link to the post. And then 100% of the payout from the post, I'm just going to divvy up among the post authors. It's just a really quick and easy way to give some money back for a post that should have been rewarded.
Right.
And, it's one of the wonderful things about Steam is that the way the uses are only limited by our imagination. So just because the platform doesn't reward a post doesn't mean that somebody can't, after 7 days, doesn't mean that somebody can't come along and do something like this to give a reward to somebody after that.
That's a great idea. How many, this is all in your head. So how many posts would you feature?
I don't want it to be huge. I'm gonna just do maybe like 3 or 4 posts per digest. I want people to be able to kind of focus on them.
Right.
And really the most important thing for me is that all the payout, since all the payout is going to be going to the authors, I feel like I will have absolutely no problem really begging for upvotes or really promoting this, because it's not self-promotion,
Right.
And anybody out there should feel good about upvoting this post, because they're like, man, these are great posts, and they totally landed the thing.
Right.
And I left a comment on one of your posts. It was a really great post. It was about how to do woodcut prints. And you wrote a really nice post. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting here, to my face. I thought that when I encountered encountered it randomly surfing steemit one night. I was like, this is a wonderful post. It's the kind of post that could very well and should have been well rewarded, and it finished with next to no payout. So. I feel like it's going to be well received, and then when I make each of these digest posts, I'm going to open it up in the comments for people to submit either their own or other posts that they know of
for the next
one. So it's the kind of thing that once it starts up, it should start picking up momentum very quickly, because like I said, everybody has one of these posts, if not multiple of these posts in their own blog feed.
It's true.
Everybody can look back at their feed and be like, oh yes, I would love to get this featured again, get some eyes on it, because as we were talking about the search failings of steemit, one of the big ones is that it's really hard to look at older content. You literally just have to scroll backwards through the feed.
Right.
And especially if somebody re-steams a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Which is its own whole issue. But if somebody is re-steaming a lot of posts, sometimes you might have to scroll backwards through like hundreds and hundreds of posts to even get to their early postings. So, basically, if a post comes out and it doesn't get rewarded at the time, it's just buried currently. So
right.
I think it's going to be well received.
I do too. I mean, I think anybody would jump at a second chance. That's awesome. But another way of rewarding original content through.
Sure. So the second initiative I've got going on is RBot, and it's R-bot. Which, of course, is kind of a play on robot, but it's also like R-bot, O-U-R, meaning it's a collectively shared bot. And I have shared the posting keys for this bot with a number of other trusted curators, and we all upvote content through that account using the posting keys.
Oh, okay. So this is not only your delegation, but other curators.
Yeah. Well, other curators have access to the posting key, so that they can, if they find a post and they want to upvote it, they can log in as RBot and upvote it, give it a reward to RBot. And I've given a really pretty simple directive as far as the kind of posts that I want RBot to upvote, and I want RBot to upvote good posts, and I do not define that. I just leave it up to the people that have this posting key. Good, undervalued posts. There's no author rep requirement. Somebody could be rep 70 and write an amazing post, and if it lands and isn't, it doesn't receive a payout, it could still be upvoted through RBot. So,
well, the people who have the posting key are already know what's going on, right?
They're all pretty much all experienced curators. Yeah. So there's several Curie curators. There's an OCD curator. There's Bucky Dirtle, who, if you haven't ran into Bucky Dirtle, he is a steemit superhero. Yeah. Man is amazing font of positivity and just an awesome person. He's another one of the people that does it. So basically, I'm running it as a super decentralized thing. I'm not policing the upvotes. I'm not giving somebody this, if you're going to upvote through this account, here's this list of requirements. I'm very intentionally leaving it up to their best judgment.
Yeah.
What does a good undervalued post mean to them? And so I don't have a dollar minimum. A post might be undervalued and still receive a $5 payout. I've written the Curate Like a Boss post that we referenced earlier. The first one of those posts paid out something like $16. I would still say that it is a criminally undervalued post at $16 for the value that it adds to the platform. It has well over 400 views at this point. It's got this huge comment thread of people coming in and saying, "This is amazing."
Yes.
Somebody could easily make an argument that even at $16 payout that post is still very undervalued. So that's why I specifically did not set any kind of guidelines on that. So that's one of the things that Arbot does. And so I am actively looking for people to delegate Steam Power to Arbot. Mike PM74, who's a really cool user, and who is now a Curie Curator as well. He was not at the time when he delegated to Arbot, but he has a very generous 500 Steam Power delegation to Arbot. I've delegated something like 300 Steam myself. And we set up a vote trail as well, so a number of people are supporting it by following the vote trail. I think currently 100% upvote from Arbot with associated trailing votes is something like 30, 40 cents. It's not a huge payout.
No.
But I can point to, when I was beginning, I would have been really excited about a 30 or 40 cent payout on my post because I was getting nada.
Yeah. I've had many posts that don't make 30 cents.
Right. And then I've been slacking on it, but I do a kind of a compilation, an upvote log where I make a post that has a list of everybody that's upvoted, links to those posts. And so it's another way of featuring these authors.
Stay tuned for episode 4, where Carl Nash talks about the long-term health of steemit.